Day 5 of our 12-day Andalusia trip this past May, and this is our first full day in Sevilla. We had a big day planned from the Alcázar to the cathedral to enjoying the sunset on the setas, so come along with us as we walk you through it. We love ourselves a good antique market, so we started off the morning by going to Mercadillo El Jeuves, which is a flea market that opens only on Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. I honestly wouldn't recommend this. We found a lot of the things to be kind of questionable. It was just a lot of junk and heavily used items that looked like they had been kind of picked out of the trash, and anything that could have been of value was either broken or fake. There was a merchant selling old ceramic tiles from the 18th century that were salvaged from old historical Sevillan buildings, which was pretty cool, and I did end up picking up one of those. Next up, we had the Royal Alcázar of Sevilla, which is the Moorish palace and garden complex most famous for its feature in Game of Thrones. Having just seen the Alhambra, I couldn't help but compare it to that, which is hard to beat. This Alcázar had all the beautiful, meticulous Moorish architecture and ornamentation as the Nasrid palaces. We did find the layout of the palace to be quite confusing. We were kind of turning in circles trying to see all the rooms, and there was significantly more visitors than we had experienced at the Alhambra, which made it hard to see everything. I would say get here as early as possible because even the 10:30 a.m. visit we had done was very busy. My favorite part of the complex was the gardens with the grotto gallery. I thought this was such a unique construction, and you can climb up into the grotto balcony to get views of the gardens from above. There was also incredibly beautiful hallways lined with ceramic mosaics and tapestries leading up to this section. In the afternoon, we had tickets to the cathedral, which also includes entry to the Giralda and the Church of San Salvador. A unique thing about this church is that it's built on the site of a Roman basilica and eventually a mosque, so under it there's a massive complex of Roman and Moorish ruins and crypts that you can walk through, so definitely don't miss that if you're planning on visiting this church. We went to the cathedral next and decided to start with the Giralda, which is its main tower that you can climb to the top of. I've walked up many European church towers, and as someone who has a massive fear of heights and gets vertigo in their narrow spiral staircases, this was by far the best one I've experienced. The walkway is very wide and slanted instead of having steps, and the only thing that made me nervous about it was feeling like I was going to slip on the way down, but that's kind of a universal feeling I've experienced across this whole region. Pretty much everywhere we went had the most polished stonework on the streets and used slants instead of stairs, so make sure you bring shoes with good traction. An interesting thing about the cathedral that we stumbled upon is that it houses the tomb of Christopher Columbus. During the expedition and discovery period, Andalusia was the main point of contact with the Americas, so there was a lot of reoccurring references to that throughout our trip. We took it pretty easy for the rest of the afternoon, wandered around the city center, popped into some shops, and got some churros. In the evening, we had planned to experience the setas for sunset and into the nightfall. This is basically a gigantic wooden honeycomb structure that spans over the city with walkways. It has a light show at night, which changes according to the weather, temperature, and wind. There are also Roman ruins under the structure that you can visit and a virtual reality experience that's included. We weren't sure if this would be worth it as the tickets were quite expensive, but 10 out of 10 would recommend. This absolutely blew us away and ended up being one of our favorite experiences of the whole trip. And just to talk a little bit about the tickets, a ticket will grant you additional entries within 48 hours of your initial booked time slot, depending on availability. I would recommend booking tickets for sunset as they do sell out and you need to see this place at sunset. It is the best way to experience it. Plan to stay there for a while so you can get a good spot and be able to experience the light show when it gets dark. Then you can always come back during the morning or day for a different feel and without the crowds. Also keep in mind the sunset periods. People start arriving well before the sunset to snag a good spot. When we were there in May, the sun only set around 9:30, but it only really got dark around 10, and there is quite a lengthy time period between when the sun sets and when the light show begins because it has to be completely dark for it. We left here around 10:30 and walked back to Santa Cruz to get some late night tapas and drinks and just enjoy the night. We found this gem of a wine bar with local wines and some really good tapas. I tried a Sevillan wine which was so unique and fresh with a platter of cheese that won 2022's World's Best Cheese. Would highly recommend this place if you want to try local wines, cheeses, and meats at an affordable price. And that concludes our 5th day. Stay tuned for day 6, which is continued in Sevilla.